Imagine a barren, desolate Martian landscape under a dusty, red-tinged sky, coming into view as a futuristic habitat surrounded by advanced machinery, solar panels, and robots carrying out essential work. Building the first human colony on Mars is the ultimate test of survival. The red planet is harsh, unforgiving, and completely alien to life as we know it. But what if I told you that our chances of surviving on Mars depend on a technology we're only just beginning to understand here on Earth? Without it, the first Mars colony will almost certainly fail. The challenge of survival on Mars. Imagine living in an apartment building you can never leave. Everything you need to survive, air, water, food, energy, must come from the inside. There's no corner store, no Amazon delivery, and no garbage or rubbish truck to take away your waste. That's what life on Mars will be like. And if even one of these systems fails, the colony could collapse. On Mars, waste isn't just inconvenient, it's deadly. Every drop of water must be recycled. Every scrap of organic material, food waste, human waste, must be repurposed into something useful like fertilizer for crops. Imagine if your city recycled not just cans and paper, but absolutely everything: clothing, electronics, even the air you breathe. That's the kind of circular system a Mars colony needs to survive, because most of those resources will simply not be available on the red planet. On Earth, cities generate huge amounts of waste filled with valuable materials that are simply thrown away. On Mars, this isn't an option. On Earth, there are cities generating mountains of trash. Compare that to what would be required in a Mars colony, where everything needs to be reused and there is no trash and no waste. This is what makes life on Mars possible, a system where nothing is wasted and everything has value. Energy on Mars is just as precious as water. Nuclear batteries may provide energy in the short term, but solar power will be the only reliable long-term source of energy. However, a massive dust storm like the one I just spoke about can block sunlight for weeks on Mars. Imagine trying to power your entire home with just a battery for backup for weeks. The colony's survival depends on being incredibly efficient and storing as much energy as possible. In a Martian city, energy and materials efficiency isn't just smart, it's literally survival. Now let's talk about decisions. On Mars, one bad call could mean disaster. Too much water for farming, you don't have enough to drink. Too much power for oxygen production, and your crops fail. That's why decision making in a Martian colony must be collaborative and fast. Think you can just pick up the emergency phone and call Earth for help? Forget it. Because even though communication signals travel at the speed of light, even at that speed it takes anywhere from 4 to 24 minutes for signals to travel from Mars to Earth, depending on where the planets are in their orbits, and another 4 to 24 minutes to get the reply. If you asked an urgent question and had to wait 8 minutes for a response on the phone, how would that make you feel? In a time-sensitive emergency, these precious minutes could mean the difference between life and death. On Mars, no one person can hold all the power. Everyone's input matters and every decision needs to balance the needs of the individual with the survival of the group. The colony cannot be dependent on decisions made by a single leader, because this represents a critical risk if that person is rendered incapable for any reason, for example through sickness or an accident. Even a team of leaders would represent an unnecessary risk. In the same way that every watt of energy and every gram of material is precious, every single human life and the decision-making skills of each person are precious and must be utilised to the fullest. Just as precious energy and materials are wasted on Earth, we also waste the huge untapped decision-making potential of the collective intelligence of everyone. Now, not every person has the capability to be a president, but every person's perspective helps to add more colour to the overall picture to help the group make better decisions. We already have methods for advanced collaborative decision-making on Earth, but for some reason we barely use them. In the same way that we don't use clean energy and circular waste systems anywhere near often enough. Finally, Mars is unpredictable. A dust storm might last for weeks, crops might fail, equipment might break, and a rescue mission would take at least 9 months to arrive from Earth. The colony has to adapt quickly, not just to survive, but to grow stronger after every challenge. This concept, adapting to crises and learning from them, is called anti-fragility. On Mars, it's not just a good idea, it's the difference between life and death. Being tough is simply not enough when you live in an environment that is inhospitable to life. At night, the temperature on Mars can drop to minus 150 degrees centigrade. At this temperature, it's not only water that is frozen solid, alcohol and mercury freeze too. The red Martian dust is poisonous, and unlike on Earth, Mars has no magnetic field to protect the colonists from deep space radiation. Here's the surprising part. The same technologies and systems that will keep us alive on Mars are exactly what we need here on Earth. Our planet may not be as hostile as Mars, but we're facing challenges that are just as urgent: climate change, resource scarcity, and social inequality. And just like on Mars, wasteful systems, inefficient energy use, and poor decision making could lead to collapse of the entire system. In a way, on Earth we are all living in a giant Earth colony. Just because we have more energy and resources and a lot of land, this does not mean we cannot do irreversible damage to the planet. In fact, this is exactly what we are doing with our current systems. We are causing damage to our own resources and putting our Earth colony at risk for every person and every creature on our beautiful planet. Remember the no waste rule on Mars? Imagine applying it here on Earth. Regenerative communities are designed like Martian habitats. They recycle everything: water, food, materials, and create zero waste. Instead of extracting resources from the planet, they regenerate them. By rethinking how we use resources, we can turn waste into wealth, just like we'd have to do on Mars. On Mars, everyone's voice matters because survival depends on collaboration. Back on Earth, regenerative communities use the same principle. Decisions are made collectively, not just by the loudest or most powerful voices, but by everyone affected. This isn't just a dream. Around the world, communities are already adopting these advanced decision-making governance models to tackle issues like housing, energy, and food security. Just like on Mars, Earth communities need to be anti-fragile, learning and growing stronger after every challenge. Whether it's a natural disaster, a supply chain breakdown, or a pandemic, regenerative communities are built to adapt and thrive, turning old problems into new opportunities. What we learn from Mars isn't just about surviving in deep space, it's about thriving here on Earth. By applying the same principles, circular systems, inclusive governance, and adaptability, we can create regenerative communities that are efficient, resilient, and fair. The essential technology that will save the first Mars colony is the same one that can help us solve Earth's biggest challenges. That essential technology is the regenerative blueprint that enables communities to thrive through collective decision-making and efficient resource allocation that values everyone and enables people to live in harmony with nature. The question is, why wait for Mars to start building a better way of life? To build a future on Mars, we must first build regenerative communities on Earth. The survival of the first Mars colony depends on it, but so does the survival of global society on our planet. The choice is ours. ColivingDAO is helping create the future of regenerative communities on Earth in preparation for humanity's journey around the solar system. Visit ColivingDAO.com and start building the future on our beautiful planet Earth today.